Hey there Cosmic Warriors, and welcome back to another video. Okay, so in today's video we are going to be taking a look at your Scorpio house within your natal birth chart, followed by addressing your Pluto sign and house, and finishing up by addressing your 8th house within your birth chart. And this is all with the intention of really looking at the archetype of Scorpio overall within astrology. Now, I just want to start off by saying here, happy birthday. Happy birthday to all of you solar Scorpios out there. It is officially your season, and that is why I have definitely changed up the background, as you can see, and I'm wearing darker clothes. So yeah, happy birthday. I hope you all have a great birthday. Now, what I want to know is, I want to know if you have any planets within the sign of Scorpio. So if you're watching this, do you have any planets in there? Also, what's going on in your 8th house within your birth chart, as well as your Pluto sign and house placement position. So definitely let us know in the comment section down below. Now, before we jump into today's video, I just want to mention this book right here. So the Scorpio ebook is now officially ready for a digital download, and this is the copy of the book. Do you not just love the front cover? This front cover was made by Nicole. So within the book, it has a lot of stuff. So it's got Pluto, Mars also being the traditional ruler of Scorpio, of course, mentioned. It's got your Scorpio house, it's got the symbol of Scorpio, it's got Pluto retrograde, it's got Scorpio intercepted, 8th house intercepted, it's got 8th house stuff, basically a lot of things to do with Scorpio, all in this book, and it's a practical how-to guide. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to provide a link to this ebook so you can download your copy in the description box. Check it out. Alright, so with all of those introductions out of the way, let's do this! Now, for more information all about archetypes, then please be sure to check out my introduction video. But in a nutshell, an archetype is a primitive mental image derived from the collective unconscious. And when it comes to the image of Scorpio, what we notice is what looks like a scorpion's stinging tail. And the symbol is shaped like an M, with a little dagger-like image pointed at the end of it. Now, keeping in mind here that Virgo also possesses a very similar image, but the difference you see between Virgo and Scorpio is that the Virgo's M looks like the crossing of legs, sort of representing the purification associated with the sign of Virgo, whereas the Scorpio's M, that's with a pointed dagger, okay? It points outward, and that can actually represent the passionate desire to get to the heart of any situation or experience. Plus, it could also be suggested that it signifies Scorpio's high primal and sexual nature. So following on from this very point, right, could it be suggested that whilst Virgo signifies the withholding from sex, Scorpio then may signify the penetration found within sex? And what's further interesting about the sign of Scorpio is that it's often associated with 6 or 7 other symbols. Did you know? Such as the spider, the snake, the wolf, the monkey, the eagle, and the phoenix. And the highest octave symbol, of course, being the phoenix. And this image symbolizes the transformation and the death and the rebirth associated with Scorpio. But does that then mean that the less evolved version, or the lower octave version of Scorpio being the scorpion symbol, does that mean that it's any less important? Certainly not. Because, well, in order to know how to evolve, surely one must understand where they are coming from to begin with. After all, scorpions are extremely hardy animals, and they are resistant to hunger and thirst, suggesting the sheer resilience, strength, and power associated with the archetype of Scorpio. Though, just with a quick side note here, did you also know that the two claws of Scorpio were once upon a time transformed from the arms or the scales of Libra? Libra, of course, being the sign before Scorpio within the zodiac wheel. Now, before we do actually dive further into this archetype, let's actually take this a step back and address the sign of Libra, okay, by identifying where we are coming from. And Libra is then the sign or the archetype that represents an individual's ability to socialize, connect, and relate with another person. It's the archetype of Libra that is all about weighing out one's options and alternatives before making a decision. So relationships, for example, okay? It's Libra season that really encourages us to weigh out our options within love, within business, within friendships. So, for example, does a person match up with us mutually, or do they not? Or what are the qualities within another person that you really like, but you also dislike? Or, you know, when it comes to that new job opportunity, for another example, maybe you enjoy the thought of being a waitress or a cashier or an interior designer, but have you covered all the basics before you sign that contract with a particular company? So really looking at these types of questions that come to mind before we enter into a certain experience or before we make a certain decision. But truly though, it is the archetype of Libra that focuses on our relationships with others and also upon the relationship that we have with ourselves. Plus, we are presented with qualities about ourselves that maybe we are not necessarily aware of. And whilst, yes, it is important for us to enter into our one-on-one relationships from a place of wholeness and completeness rather than from a place of codependency, well, at the same time, it's also acknowledging that our partners, they can bring something different and somewhat foreign into our lives for better or for worse as well. However, as we then start to approach Scorpio season, the dialogue changes once again. And this time we dive deep. We dive deep into the psyche, into what's hidden and what's darkly mysterious. Through Libra, yes, we get a sneak peek. We sort of scratch that superficial surface, so to speak. But through Scorpio, we get a much closer and detective look. And I suppose, in a way, there is this threshold found within relationships when a couple does transition from long-term committed to, well, marriage. And it is the 7th house, 8th house threshold that really signifies this very transformation. Of course, the 7th house being ruled by Libra and the 8th house being ruled by Scorpio within astrology. Not to mention that there is a lot more at stake. For example, walking away from a relationship after an argument with your boyfriend or your girlfriend, well, that could be suggested that it's much easier to do in comparison to when it's your husband or your wife. Why? Well, because not only is it about the two of you whenever you're married, there's more to it. There's the state involved, there's government involved, there's religion involved, there's other people's money and stuff. Not to mention the children you have, the mortgage that both of you have together, in whose name, the insurance of your car, your mobile phone contracts. Do I need to keep going on here? And this right here is why Scorpio rules over joint finances within astrology. Because once married or bonded to another person, it's no longer just about you. And it's these very profound realizations that should be brought to question before entering into such a committed union with another person. Therefore, it is the archetype of Scorpio that urges us to dig a little deeper before we make any decisions based upon love and romance. But even more so, it's the archetype of Scorpio that seeks out one of the most alluring, magnetic, and addictive components of any relationship, and that is intimacy. Sure, Libra is great in establishing the ideals found within our relationships, and also great when it comes to compromise and cooperation and finding a common ground. But to have someone in your life that you can open up with, someone in your life who you can trust, by which you can bring out your vulnerabilities, to share private information that you hold so close to your heart, and to, most importantly, share all of these things without the other person walking away. Well, it's these types of things that correspond with Scorpio. Meaning that it is this archetype that shows us just how close and personal and intimate we can be with another person without them running away in fear over what we just shared. See, it's Scorpio that shows us how we can share our dark past, how we can bring out all of the grimy, icky, and hard to face truths to the surface. And seriously, to find someone who accepts even those parts of you, well, that can be a pretty empowering thing, but it can also be quite terrifying. And so you see, it is the archetype of Scorpio that can show us how we can seek empowerment within our relationships and also within ourselves. Now, of course, I do understand that not everybody is going to get married, or nor is everybody seeking to be intimate or to create a close bond within a relationship. However, it's still this archetype that really does signify the unraveling of our unconscious, because it's through this sign that we start to sniff out the hidden facets that are operating beneath the surface, such as our hidden intentions, our hidden actions, that really are playing out within the unconscious. Take something as simple as body language here, for example, okay? There can be a ton of hidden intentions found within how you sit, how you stand, how you interact with others. But these aren't exactly things that we are aware of. They're happening automatically. Therefore, it is this sign that truly switches our focus to how we seek to probe at information rather than taking things at face value. And by an individual piercing into the murky waters of Scorpio, they can uncover hidden complexities that implode on their psyche. However, whether or not an individual chooses to investigate their unconscious, well, that's quite simply their choice. And besides, is there truly a definitive answer to understanding the hidden layers of the human mind? For years, psychologists have been trying to unlock these mysteries, and with every new discovery comes a new state of awareness anyway. Therefore, the human psyche is just as mysterious as the space above us, and also just as mysterious as the waters beneath us, essentially suggesting that Scorpio represents the continuous transformation process whereby which an individual transforms. They transform time and time again with every new piece of information and new experience discovered. When does it end? When an individual dies? When did it begin? When an individual was born? Or does it simply continue into the afterlife? And is there really such thing as a past life? These types of questions can arise from the sign of Scorpio, making this sign a sign of death, rebirth, transformation, and also strongly linked to the occult. It's a highly metaphysical and spiritual sign. Now, Scorpio is a water sign, meaning that it's connected with emotions and feelings. It can sort of pick up on the emotions around it within the atmosphere. And it's also a fixed sign, meaning that it's determined and it's focused, it's persistent and it's sustaining. It's this fixed water combination then that can result in a sign that is concerned with sustaining emotion so that it can be used to transform through intense situations and experiences throughout an individual's life, especially those that involve crisis and urgency. So for example, the death of a loved one, becoming terminally ill, or being made redundant. But it's through such experiences that we find strength found within survival. We learn how to evolve through these moments of scarcity and fear and panic, rather than destroying and attacking ourselves. And to put it bluntly, instead of committing suicide. And just one more thing that I want to mention when it does come to this archetype, I also want to look at how it's associated strongly with honesty and trust. Meaning that it is this sign that really does point towards the building of trust and honesty and how they are necessary when developing a deep bond with another person. So with all of that being explained, let's now take a look at some clips and media that I personally think can be associated with the sign of Scorpio. Now, wherever Scorpio is located within your natal birth chart, it will show you where you seek to uncover what's hidden in order for the truth to be brought to the surface. It is within your Scorpio house or within that particular area of your life where you learn how to be honest with yourself rather than staying in a state of denial or staying in the dark, resulting in possible secret affairs and maybe even self-destruction. So take someone, for example, with Scorpio ruling their second house within their birth chart. They may be in the dark when it comes to their obsession with accumulating wealth and resources. Whilst someone with Scorpio ruling the 8th house, They may be in self-denial when it comes to their tendency to control other people by using emotional manipulation. Furthermore, the Scorpio house is where you seek to overcome your darkest fears and vulnerabilities through strong emotional resilience and determination. So someone with Scorpio ruling the 4th house, for example, they may be unaware of their vulnerabilities when it comes to their upbringing or their past conditioning. They may hide their emotions as a way to feel strong, as if they can control their emotions. But does their tendency to hide how they feel truly reflect strength? Or is this actually having the opposite effect? Likewise, someone with Scorpio ruling the 10th house, they may hide behind their darkest fears when it comes to their online persona or their career choices. They may be very good at navigating what they choose to share with the public, but is this same navigation being used as a decoy so that the public doesn't truly get to see their vulnerabilities? But you know what? Let's dig a little bit deeper and investigate this emotional resilience and determination, because it's these same things that can encourage us to become stronger from within our Scorpio house. So someone with Scorpio ruling the 3rd house, they can transform through their communication and their education, provided that they overcome their paranoid and obsessive thoughts. Likewise, someone with Scorpio ruling the 9th house, they can transform through their higher learning and knowledge, provided that they can overcome any beliefs that tell them that they are weak within their very position. It's due to these reasons that, well, it could be suggested that the Scorpio house is a rather healing area of life. An area of life that actually encourages an individual to face anything that's ugly and hideous that tries to poison or infect their psyche. And I also think it's important for them to realize that by addressing these things, it does make them strong. It's not a weakness to look at our shadow, it's actually a strength within itself. Therefore, it is within your Scorpio house that will support you on your quest to really conquer your inner demons, your inner fears, and your psychological blockages. Now, what we also learn from this magnetic sign is how to master our emotions. And by doing so, we show self-restraint. Now, it's this same emotional control or self-restraint that can be used as protection. And also it can be used as a way to gain more power. However, it can also be used as a defense mechanism. And furthermore, with this point, it's really important for an individual to also not suppress their emotions. Yes, it can be good to have mastery, to gain self-mastery over one's emotions, but to suppress them and hide them, well, that can cause extreme implications. Lastly then, it is the Scorpio house that can signify the area of life where an individual keeps things private, where they deliberately choose what they would like to expose to others. Though what does it mean if you have a planet within the sign of Scorpio? Now, of course, it depends on the planet itself, but this planet being placed into a highly emotionally resilient, focused, and determined sign, well, that planet's energy just may urge you to look deeper into yourself as a way to unlock hidden facets of your psyche. And by doing so, you can transform and renew yourself. So let's say you have Mars within Scorpio. This can suggest that you will feel motivated and driven by your strong and passionate urges and desires to unlock your hidden facets. You may continuously find yourself descending and ascending through times of emotional turbulence and crisis, but it's these same things that you continue to fight without backing down. Let's say then you have Mercury within the sign of Scorpio. Well, this can suggest that you will try to unlock the secrets or hidden facets find within information, find within what you're learning, and find within your own mind. You may read between the lines during conversation, or you may pierce into the unknown where no one has dared sought after. Though what if you have a stellium within the sign of Scorpio, meaning that you have 4 or more planets in there? Again, it can depend on the planets themselves, but by there being a high altitude of planets going into this deep and profound sign, it can result in a person who is very introspective, empathetic, intuitive, someone who seeks honesty and trust and truth, but can also be mysterious and secretive yourself, someone who has underwent many transformations throughout their lives, someone who is emotionally resilient, intimate, strong-willed, and profound. However, this energy can also suggest a person who is self-destructive, obsessive, paranoid, and extremely guarded due to your fears of being vulnerable or letting anybody else in. You may even destroy anything good in your life due to self-sabotage and because you lack empathy towards yourself. This could even be due to repressed anger and frustrations. So let's now look at Pluto within astrology, okay? Now, Pluto is known as a planet within astrology, but was classified as a dwarf planet in 2006. Pluto was discovered in 1930, and in Roman mythology, Pluto was named after the Roman god Pluto, the god of the underworld. And in Greek mythology, Pluto is connected with Hades. Now, Pluto is a generational planet along with Neptune and Uranus. And Pluto actually has 2 symbols. The first one being shaped like a P, and this can correspond with death, destruction, and elimination. And then the second one, the second symbol, being shaped like a chalice, and this can correspond with rebirth, transformation, and renewal. So it's good to keep these 2 symbols in mind when it comes to Pluto, because Pluto is about destruction and growth. Pluto is about birth and death. It's basically looking at that continuous cycle. Pluto is also the slowest moving planet within astrology because it takes about 247.7 years to journey through all of the 12 signs. It stays in the sign of Taurus the longest, and it stays in the sign of Scorpio for the shortest period of time. Now, the function of Pluto is to catalyze experiences and to bring transformation to the collective, to the generation. For example, Pluto was in the sign of Cancer during the silent generation. And during this time, immigration levels in the United States, they jumped from 3.5 million to 7 million during that time. So during the time that Pluto was in Cancer. And of course, Cancer is a sign represented with home and family. Another example here is that Pluto was in the sign of Virgo during the Generation Jones. And this was a time whenever there was mass unemployment levels. And Virgo is a sign connected with the workforce and employment. And lastly, whenever Pluto was in the sign of Libra, this was during Generation X. And it was during this time that divorce rates more than doubled. And Libra is a sign connected with marriage and relationships, meaning that it is Pluto that attempts to bring change to an entire generation. And that's some serious business. However, when it comes to Pluto's influence on a personal level, well, that's going to be determined based upon the house position within your natal birth chart. The sign placement is still important, but the house placement is much more personal to you. It is the house placement of Pluto that can show you where you undergo intense and profound transformations. Ultimately, it is the planet Pluto that can really show you how and where you can reclaim your power. So lastly then, let's look at the 8th house, okay? So when it does come to the 8th house within your natal birth chart, well, This house is connected with the combining and the merging of finances and resources. So whilst the second house opposite shows you your personal value, the 8th house shows you the value of 2 or more people combined. So looking at the likes of business deals, marriage, inheritance money, property, as discussed at the beginning of this video. And the sign that then rules your 8th house then, along with planets within your 8th house respectively, well, that or they can indicate how you address these very things. So if you have Virgo ruling the 8th house, you may be highly efficient and organized when it comes to managing the joint accounts. But then if you have Pisces ruling the 8th house, you may be kind of dreamy and a little bit dazed towards the whole thing. Now, it's also important to note that the 8th house can correspond with any divorce, ugly divorce settlements, along with debts, taxes, grants, and financial claims. The 8th house also corresponds with the energy exchanged between 2 people, such as time spent together, how often they have sex, how things will change after having a baby. Which, quick side note here, okay? It can be suggested here that the 8th house can be viewed as the house of conception and how we really approach the whole giving birth process. And it's a house of sex and intimacy combined, where you really explore your deepest sexual and erotic desires with another person. Now, of course, intimacy doesn't only have to be sexual, but intimacy can be physical, financial, mental, emotional, and even spiritual, meaning that it is the 8th house that is all about this bonding and this closeness. And it can also signify how well we open up with another person. So opening up about our past traumas. So making this house a house of vulnerability and also a house of great healing, just like within our Scorpio house. And again, it is an area of life where we transform, but it can also be where we project any unresolved emotional traumas and baggage onto our intimate partner as well. So it's really, really good for us to address any unresolved issues from the past within this particular area of our lives in order for us to form more fruitful and trusting relationships. And it's all these types of things that make the 8th house a house of death and rebirth. Some astrologers even suggest that the 8th house can provide an indication into the ways in which we quite literally die. Though I wouldn't take this as a fact, just like I wouldn't take anything within astrology as fact, but it's still an interesting idea to think about. And lastly then, it is the 8th house within your birth chart that signifies an area of your life that is connected with all things taboo and esoteric. It's associated with the occult, so it's associated with what is unknown. So looking at mystery, looking at magic, along with subjects and practices that are forbidden or prohibited from society. Ultimately, it is the 8th house that is a house of transition from old endings to new beginnings. Overall, it is the sign of Scorpio that signifies the unknown and the hidden facets of life. It's a deeply psychological and spiritual sign that urges us to dig into our psyche so that we can become transformed and renewed. Therefore, it is these things that can be sought from within your Scorpio house within your natal birth chart. It is then the planet Pluto that will show you how and where you will undergo intense transformations and reclaim your personal power. And lastly, it is your 8th house that will show you how you manage your joint finances, how you develop intimacy, how you face your inner demons, and evolve through times of crisis, trauma, and urgency. Okay then, Cosmic Warriors, so that concludes my really big long introduction video to the archetype of Scorpio within astrology. Again, let us know your Scorpio placements, your Pluto placements, your 8th house placements in the comment section down below. But with all that being said, thank you so much for watching, thank you for subscribing, and of course if you would like to see more videos from myself and you have not yet subscribed, then go right ahead and click that subscribe button. And I will be back with another video very, very soon. Bye!